Presented by Listen Headlines. Latest financial news from trusted sources.
Wall Street Journal Markets. January 23. 7:03 America New York. Tech rout fueled by bond market turn. Rising bond yields, particularly on inflation-protected treasuries, are viewed as close indicators of borrowing costs for businesses and consumers.
New York Times Business. January 23. 7:02 America New York. The Week in Business. A big bet on gaming. Intel announces plans for a $20 billion chip manufacturing complex in Ohio. With Omicron beginning a retreat, is a new normal coming? And the Fed meets, with inflation high on the agenda.
Daily FX Market News. January 23, 7 o'clock America New York. Apple and Tesla earnings in focus as Nasdaq 100 falls into a technical correction. The U.S. stock market is embracing the peak of the earnings season this week, with about 22% of the S&P 500 companies due to announce results. Among them, Apple, Tesla and Microsoft will be closely.
Wall Street Journal U.S. Business. January 23, 7 o'clock America New York. Winter Olympics sponsors caught between Beijing, U.S. Visa, P&G and Coca-Cola are among the top-tier sponsors of the Winter Games that are keeping a relatively low profile as Washington highlights human rights in China's Xinjiang region.
Global Economy. January 23, 6 o'clock America New York. Fed expected to back first pandemic-era interest rate rise in March. Move will come as U.S. Central Bank looks to take more aggressive steps to tame high inflation. Global Economy. January 23, 5:57 America New York. Don't write off Hong Kong as a financial center just yet. Despite a political crackdown, people who want to move capital into China will continue to use the territory to do so.
Wall Street Journal Markets. January 23, 5:36 America New York. Why the sustainable investment craze is flawed. The first in a series of streetwise columns about the failed promise of funds guided by environmental, social and governance principles, known as ESG.
Wall Street Journal U.S. Business. January 23, 5:30 America New York. From plants to store shelves, U.S. food supply is under pressure. Weeks of workers calling in sick add to continuing supply and transportation disruptions, making grocery store shelves harder to fill. Wall Street Journal U.S. Business. January 23, 5:30 America New York. Omicron wave drives surge of workers calling in sick. Almost 8.8 million Americans were out sick or caring for someone with COVID-19 in early January. Many people continue to work while sick. Wall Street Journal U.S. Business. January 23, 5:30 America New York. How to avoid unwanted photos on social media. With nearly every social occasion tending to end up documented online, eventually, your image is bound to show up in some posts you don't like. It isn't unreasonable to ask friends to remove group selfies. Wall Street Journal U.S. Business. January 23, 5:30 America New York. In hospital strained by Omicron, weary nurses treat too many patients. Staff at Houston Methodist Hospital have been working overtime, and beds for cancer and heart disease have shifted to help deal with a COVID-19 surge. But the hospital still can't keep up. New York Times Business. January 23, 5 o'clock America New York. Documentary critical of Disney, from the Disney family. A harsh portrait of pay inequality at the company, premiering at Sundance on Monday, was directed by the granddaughter of one of the founders, Abigail E. Disney, whose film, The American Dream and Other Fairy Tales, profiles 4 Disneyland custodians.
Digital Finance. January 23, 5 o'clock America New York. Taiwan CDF Banking Group building digital partnerships. China Development Financial's new management prepares to expand into Asia via consumer-facing fintechs. The post-Taiwan CDF Banking Group building digital partnerships appeared first on Digital Finance. Global Economy. January 23, 4 o'clock America New York. Will the Federal Reserve signal a March interest rate rise? Market questions as the FT's guide to the week ahead. Global Economy. January 23, 2 o'clock America New York. Global Wealth. Asset inflation decouples rich from GDP. Despite the pandemic and lockdowns, planet Earth keeps raking it in.
Daily FX Market News. January 23. 1 o'clock America New York, USD, JPY rate outlook hinges on Federal Reserve interest rate decision. The Federal Reserve interest rate decision may sway the near-term outlook for USD, JPY as the central bank prepares to normalize monetary policy.
Marginal Revolution. January 23. 0:30 America New York. How should you talk to think better? Being a natural non-dualist, I have been pondering this question. For instance, I know someone who almost always gives charismatic and thunderous answers to questions posed. These are typically smart answers, whether or not you agree, but I suspect over time that talk style makes this person somewhat stupider and more dogmatic.
Armstrong Economics. January 23. 0:05 America New York. Hong Kong's hamster genocide. Hong Kong's zero-COVID policy has caused schools and playgrounds to close as children learn how to be obedient to authority. The latest COVID measure is another way to psychologically traumatize children for years to come. Armstrong Economics. January 23. 0:04 America New York. Medical freedom has been hijacked. Dr. Mary Bowden was suspended from Houston Methodist Hospital after sharing her views on COVID-19. Bowden is now speaking out and taking legal action against Houston Methodist Hospital. Armstrong Economics. January 23. 0:03 America New York. Facebook continues to mute the truth. Facebook fact-checkers have become the new Gestapo by silencing anyone who opposes the Great Reset narrative. The Taliban is permitted to operate on social media.
Global Economy. January 23. 0:00 America New York. Russia and China's plans for a new world order. For Moscow and Beijing, the Ukraine crisis is part of a struggle to reduce American power and make the world safe for autocrats. Global Economy. January 23. 0:00 America New York. Eurozone economic recovery is surviving Omicron wave. Vaccinations and a better ability to live with the virus are now blunting COVID's economic impact, according to an FT analysis.
The Library of Economics and Liberty. January 22, 2319 America New York, the case against price controls. This is a great suppressed topic. It was absolutely mainstream from the start of World War II until the Reagan administration. This is a quote from Price Controls Set Off Heated Debate as History Gets a Second Look, a January 13 New York Times article by Ben Castleman and Gene Smialek.